Hello and welcome to Story Untold. I'm Martin Bauman, and my guest today is one of the greatest American distance runners of all time. Her story is also one for the books. Patti Catalano Dillon is a former world and American record holder for distance running. She was the first American woman to run a marathon in under 2 hours and 30 minutes. And she didn't start running until she was 23 years old. In fact, she describes herself at the time as 40 pounds overweight and smoking 2 packs of cigarettes a day. Today, she's in the National Distance Running Hall of Fame, and she has got a heck of a story to tell from all those races. Here it is. Thinking about your story, when I think of the runners that have made a legacy and have made a lasting impact, I can't think of anyone whose story and whose start in running might be as unconventional as yours is. I mean, your start is a really, really interesting one. What was your life like, and what were you like before taking up running?
How far do you want to go back? Well, thank you for the compliments. It was unconventional coming about. I was a swimmer, and I liked swimming in the ocean when I was a kid because I grew up on the beach and we didn't have a ski boat, we didn't have skis. So my father grew up in the city of Boston, and he didn't have a pool to go swimming, and he joined the Navy and he had to swim. So he was going to be darned if his kids were going to live next to the ocean and not know how to swim. So I learned to swim, but it wasn't every day or anything like that. It was, when he was around, because he worked several jobs, but I would have to practice, and he would check in on me. I would have to go up and down he marked off maybe 100 yards, and I'd go back and forth. But before that, after that, I got, fat. And then in high school, I met up with some girls, and we did a relay. And each year we swam in the small Catholic school division, and our relay won each year. So I only got ready for one race. So I would practice a couple of months with the team because there was only 4 of us on the team. And that was a lot of fun. And then after high school, I didn't go to college. I was on my own. I lived in an apartment, had my own responsibilities. But, the drinking age was 18 when I was growing up. But I didn't drink until I was 20, I think it was. And then I fell into like a habit. I went out with the girls after work. I worked the 4 to 12 shift, the 12:15, and would go out after work, and it started like on a Friday night. And I'd get a Mai Tai or something, and it was my first drink, and it was like, wow, this was pretty good. Then the Friday night went to a Saturday night, and Friday and Saturday night, and then over time it was Thursday night. I would get asked out, and I didn't drive a car. So it would depend on, and these weren't just girls, these weren't other teenagers or anything like this. These were older women. So I was hanging out with women who had children my age. But I was working with them, and so after a while they say, hey, why don't we just ask Patti to come with us? Oh, okay. So for me, it was really a privilege and honor to be going out with these women and having a Mai Tai with Chinese food. This was pretty good. But unfortunately, it went a lot. And I found that I liked it a lot. And I was going out with other women after work from other floors. I worked in the hospital. And it became a lifestyle because I was around friends, I was making friends, I was eating late at night and having extra calories I wasn't burning off, so I blew up. I blew up to, pretty big.
This is in your early 20s, right? This takes you up into your early 20s, and all up until this time, you hadn't started running. At this time, you mentioned you're overweight, and you're smoking 2 packs a day.
Oh, yes, I know. Isn't that terrible? I was one of those kids, and I was like one of the tough girls, but not meaning to be tough. I was very quiet. I started smoking in the 7th grade. Oh, dear. Sneaking my dad's cigarettes, his Lucky Strikes or his Chesterfields, and they were horrid, absolutely horrid. And it lasted, I progressed. I till I could buy my own cigarettes. And I was really happy about that. So by the time 8th grade came around and 9th grade, I was in high school. And you go to high school, you're a freshman, and it became my lifestyle until I was smoking. See, I'd been working since I was in the 7th grade. So, it's fit that lifestyle. You're around older people, they're smoking, you want to be with them, and I don't know. But anyways, I miss it every now and then. I don't know. Isn't it crazy? So I smoked all the way up until I was 25.
Right, and that's even as you're running at the time, too.
Yes, well, Martin, I didn't do it as a lifestyle. It didn't dawn on me that I was going to race, I was going to get faster or anything. It was just I lived in two worlds. I lived in the running world for a couple hours a day, and then I lived in my world. And, you wake up in the morning, the ashtray's right there, you have your pack of cigarettes, and I just lit up, or if I went out, you just light up. It was a lifestyle. I never connected the two.
What was that first run like for you when you decide, I want to get some exercise, I want to lose weight?
That was a big turning point for me. I saw a classmate, and I saw how beautiful she was. I was taking care of her mom at the Quincy City Hospital, and I recognized her. She didn't recognize me right off. And I thought, wow, she looks awesome. She looked very businesslike. I know she went to college. And I thought, whatever she has, I want that. And it was poised. She was confident. She was just wonderful. And I thought, I want that. But I didn't know what it was. And I took stock of myself, Martin. It was only a few days later that it never left me. I said, what does she have? How could she look so happy? I'm not that happy. What am I doing? I'm not going anywhere. I live in this basement apartment. I couldn't even buy bus fare. That wasn't making that much. I had to walk to work. And I thought, something's got to change. And I thought, I'm going to lose weight. And I'll be nice to myself. And I sat down, Martin, and I made a circle, and I made a clock. And I thought, this is what I do with my time. I work. I have to leave for work around 2:45. I get home, if I don't go out with the girls, around 2 a.m., and so what do I do the rest of the day? I said, well, I get home around 2 a.m., I wake up around 2 p.m., and I get ready and go to work. I said, well, I'm not going to do that anymore. So I really wanted to lose weight. And I saw this book, and it was Ken Cooper book, Aerobics. And I looked through it, and it was a thing called jogging, that if I ran for an hour, I would burn 700 calories. And I thought, this is really good. So, and it said to I followed directions, Martin, I really did. It said, wear your most comfortable pair of shoes. And mine were Earth shoes. So I had knee socks, Earth shoes, cut-off jeans with fringe. I had the fringe ones going. And I had the neoprene belt because my father was a boxer. And he would wear the neoprene belt while he was jumping rope. So I said, I'm going to go down my mom's house and get the neoprene belt. And I did. And I wore like 3 heavy sweatshirts, and they, the kind that don't breathe. And I went to the cemetery, and I started running. It was on the outskirts of the cemetery. I didn't want anybody to see me. And so I'm running the outskirts of the cemetery, and I just know that I was just going to run and run and run. And I did. And I was running and running, and it was awful. I felt awful. But I was going to do this. And over time, I don't know, must have been maybe my 4th lap. I didn't hurt. I didn't pay attention to how much I was running. I was just running. And then I remember going around some more, and a police car came up. And he asked me, what are you doing? And I slowed down and stopped, and I looked right at him. And I was really nervous. And I said, I'm jogging. And he looked right back at me. And he said, after a few moments, he went, uh-huh. And I just stood there, and I didn't know what to do. I thought I was going to be arrested or something. And he said, okay. And he just moved, left. And I stood there. And I said, oh, okay. So I ran some more, and I went back to the Y, and I ended up running an hour. And I was like, wow, that was great. That was great. And I went into the locker room, and I sat on the bench, and I'm getting undressed, and I'm like, oh, wow. And I just couldn't get over that. I felt I was sweating. Everything was soaked. I was okay until I looked in the mirror. Martin, I looked awful. I looked absolutely awful. I had a white face, red patches, black and maroon, circles under my eyes. And I was beside myself. I never saw myself look like that. And I thought, oh my gosh, no wonder he stopped me. Oh my gosh, I should be dead. I don't know, but I felt pretty good. And I went into the shower, Martin, and I don't know what came over me. I just went into the shower, and the water's coming down on me, and I thought, this feels so good. Oh my gosh, I feel so good. And I started to cry. I don't know. I never felt this way in my whole life. And I was crying. And I was thinking, oh my gosh, I feel so good. I've never felt this way before. And nobody gave it to me. And I thought, well, then if nobody gave it to me, nobody can take it. Nobody can take this away from me. And that's why I started running again and again. But after, of course, I went to work, and I'm happy as a lark and everything. And people wanted to know, what the heck's wrong with Patti? She's so happy. And they said, I don't know. She did something called jogging or something. So I couldn't, the next morning, I roll over, get my cigarettes, but I couldn't barely roll over. I was so sore. Oh. So it took me about another 2 weeks for all the pain to go away. And Martin and I went out and I did it again. Only this time, the pain lasted maybe a week, a little bit more than a week, until I could run almost every day. So that took me almost a month to be able to run almost every day. And of course, where I was running was at the Quincy Y, and I fell in with the group. They saw me and they go, who's this girl running? I don't know. And I would see these guys, and there was a group of them, and they had just got through running the Boston Marathon. I'm hearing all these stories, and I blurt out, Martin, I absolutely blurt out, I'm going to run that race. I'm going to do it next year. Guy looked at me, Jake Mahoney, and he looks at me and he says, oh, is that right? Well, did you know that you have to qualify? And I said, no. And I said, well, qualify? What's a marathon? And he looked at me again like, are you for real? And he said, a marathon is 26.2 miles. And I was like, oh, all in stride, didn't miss a beat. I said, oh, okay. And I said, then you have to qualify? And he said, yeah, you do. As a matter of fact, we're all getting ready for a race in October in Newport, Rhode Island. And I said, okay, I'll run it. Not even thinking that it's another 26 miles. And I'm thinking, I have to run 26 miles to prove I can run 26 miles? I thought that was absurd. And whatever it was, I said, okay, I'm going to do it. Not even thinking that it's 26 miles. So, Martin, what I did, my highest mileage week from March, when I first started running, March 28th, till October, when the race was 40 miles. I go through so many firsts, so many soaring of feelings, so much. I only did one 16-mile run. And after I finished, I built up to that. I took the couple of days off. I had planned it. I took a couple of days off before I was going to do this run. And then I did the run, and I took a few days off afterwards because I thought I would die of a heart attack. And a friend of mine had a car. She was another teenager. And we drove around the course. And she said, wow. And we're both smoking cigarettes. I'm a passenger. She's driving. And we're, smoking away. And she goes, wow. And I said, oh, this is 4 miles? And she goes, yeah, man, that's 4 miles. And so we're driving along. And she goes, wow, this is 10 miles. She goes, you ran all the way here? I said, yeah. I said, I ran more. And she goes, oh my gosh. So we're driving and we're excited. And I'm lighting one cigarette after another and I'm crushing them out. And I'm thinking, wow. And she goes, wow, this is 12 miles. I go, wow, this is 12 miles. Until we get up to 16. And she goes, wow, this is 16 miles. And I go, wow, I don't think I should run tomorrow. And she goes, I don't think so either. This is far. So I take a couple of days off, but I'm soaring. I am so happy. I just can't get out of my mind. 16 miles. I ran 16 miles. And I'm going through the whole run in my head again and again and again. And I'm like off the charts happy. I have never been this happy. So the couple of days before the race, I know I'm going to run the Newport Marathon. And I add up my miles. Try to run every day. Now you have to remember, I'm not like I run now or when I was training. I don't have easy days. Every day is hard. It's fast. I'm sweating and I'm breathing hard and I'm spitting up brown phlegm. I'm cleaning out my lungs. Every run is hard. So I don't run every single day. The day before the marathon, I went down to my mom's house. And nobody's home except for my little sister. And my little sister's 7 years old. And she's in the kitchen. And I go in and I ask her, where is everybody? She says, why? What do you want to know? And I said, well, I want to tell Ma. And she goes, what do you want to tell Ma? And I said, well, I'll tell you. You tell Ma I may die. And she goes, what do you mean you may die? And I said, I may die tomorrow of a heart attack. And she's looking at me. And she stands up on the chair. And I give her a hug. And I said, Maureen, I'm going to run a marathon tomorrow. And she says, what's a marathon? I said, well, it's a race, and it's 26 miles, 26.2. And she says, well, why are you going to do that? I said, well, there's another race that I want to do, and I have to prove that I can run this race. And she said, oh. And I said, well, I just want to let you know I love you. And I may die. Martin, this was the truth. This is the honest to goodness truth. And she's like, oh, okay. So I said, well, I'll see you later. She goes, yeah, I'll see you later. So I wake up the next day. We go to Newport, Rhode Island to do this race. In the meantime, I got married. And my husband's running in the race with his friend, with some of the group. I married one of the guys in the group. So a couple of the group are running. And we line up, and my husband turns around to me, and he's kind of up front. He turns around and looks at me, because I'm kind of in the back. And he says, hey, do you want me to run the first loop with you? And I don't even know what a loop is. And I say, no, you go ahead. So he and this other guy go off, and I'm running. And all I know, Martin, that the more I hurt, the harder I'm going to run. That's what I have in my head. So that's what happens. I don't even remember feeling pain. I just remember that I have to think harder. I have to concentrate. I learned later that it's called focus. Pay attention to what you're doing. And I come across, I'm finishing the race. I get through the race. I'm finishing the race, and I hear the loudspeakers, and I hear, here comes Patti of Quincy, first woman. And I get goosebumps, and I think, oh my gosh, that's me. Oh my gosh. And I'm like so excited. I race across the finish line. I come through the chute, and I'm so happy. And up ahead, just a few people up there, I see my husband. And I call to him, and I say, hey, how did you do? And he looks at me, and he's bewildered. And he said, did you finish? I said, yes, didn't you hear? And he said, no, I didn't. And I said, oh, I just finished. And I said, what was your time? And he said, it was 2:53. And I said, really? And he says, what was your time? I said, it was 2:53:40. And I said, if I knew you were that close, I would have beat you. Well, we divorced a few months later. I didn't take too well to that.
When you talk about running a marathon, I have to imagine so much of that is a mental battle, a constant fight of mind over matter. Just, willing yourself to keep on putting one foot in front of the other one. It's a long way to go. What is that process like in your head as you're running?
Well, some of my long runs had been like putting one foot in front of the other. They've been very tough. And you work really hard so that the marathon, you don't feel the fatigue because you're prepared for it. The bad runs are the ones that you feel that you have to put one foot in front of the other. And I did have a few races like that. And one of my last marathons felt like that. But usually when they're good, and I had quite a few good ones, I broke the race down into sections. I tried to do as much as I could to get myself physically strong so that when the world did fall out from beneath my feet, I wouldn't lose that much time. People do ask, like, it's so long, it's so far, what do you think about? And I look at them, like, oh my gosh, there's so much to think about. You're doing so much. You're trying to gauge your energy, feeding off the crowd, the dead zones. How much do I have to concentrate? Where do I have to concentrate? Do I have to concentrate here? I'm a people pleaser, meaning that if people are there and they're cheering me on, I'm going to do everything I can to make you happy. And so that means looking good and running fast.
I think that is what separates the marathon runners from the rest of us, is that desire to want to do that. I want to go back to the Newport Marathon that you mentioned for a second. How long was that after you had first started running? How many months? Or
April, May, June, July, August, September, October. Both 7 months.
7 months. And around that same time period, you run the Ocean State Marathon too. Again, winning the marathon just months after you start running.
Isn't that crazy? I wasn't even thinking like incredible. A runner or anything like that. I had reached my goal. I was thin. I was, that's all I wanted to be, really. And I wanted to be happy, which I was. And the other thing, though, too, I didn't drink anymore. I didn't go out with the girls after work because I wanted to make sure that I was up and at 'em for my run. And so that meant to get up, have a breakfast, get out the door, get to the Y, ride my bike there. But I was still smoking, so I didn't smoke, of course, at the Y. I didn't smoke there, but I couldn't wait to get home. I didn't smoke really in public, but I did smoke at work.
Around this time, you became part of the Greater Boston Track Club, which in the sport has its own reputation to it. Some of those great runners that you talk about, people like Bill Rogers, Greg Meyer, Alberto Salazar. What was it like being around a group like that?
Okay, well, I really wasn't a member of the Greater Boston Track Club. I was a member of the Boston Athletic Association, and puts on the Boston Marathon. I trained with the Greater Boston Track Club, though. So, yes, I saw Billy, and I text Billy quite a bit, and El Salazar, Greg Meyer, Randy Thomas, Bobby Hodge, Dickie Mahoney, who got third in Boston. It was wonderful. It was great. And I was this quiet, shy kid. I felt like a kid, but I was really, 24 years old now. And I thought, wow, this Bill Rogers, I remember one of my first races, he won and I won, and I asked him for his autograph. And he gave it to me. And then a short time later, I'm at the Boston College track, and I'm doing a workout, and Billy goes by, and he goes, "Way to go, Patti." And I'm out of my mind, like, wow. So I would work like the dickens all week so I could get another "way to go, Patti" from the guys on Tuesday night. So it was thrilling for me. It was exciting, and I fed off of it. I never knew this world existed. I didn't know these feelings existed. And if I had to go through a brick wall to get it, gosh, I was going to do it.
I want to go to 1980 and New York City. It's late October at the time. You're running the marathon, and this is about 4 years after the point where you were smoking 2 packs a day and hadn't even started running. This race, you end up breaking the 2:30 mark, and you're the first American woman to do that, and the second woman in the world to do that. What was that day like for you?
Oh, man, what was leading up to was more exciting than that day. I did the Montreal Marathon, and it was in September. Jackie Guerreau had beat me in Boston in 1980, and I was so upset No, not upset. I was enthused, but upset. I didn't see her. She ran a great race, and I saw her after the race, and this was the Rosie Ruiz year. And so I went over to congratulate her, and she said I didn't win. And I thought, what do you mean you didn't win? And I looked right at her, and she's speaking French, and I'm speaking English, but everybody around her group understood what I was saying because my hands are flying, my tone of voice, my face, and I'm looking right at her, and I look up, and I see this Rosie Ruiz, and I'm beside myself. And so her manager was also there. He looked at me, and he said, you really want to race her, don't you? And I said, yes, I do. And I'm in French. He had to talk through an interpreter. And he said, if I set up a race, will you come? And I said, yes. So we set up a race for the best of the world, and only 4 women showed up. Of all the women he invited, 4 of us showed up. But I ran, and silly me, didn't look at the course, which I usually do. And I didn't know the last 6 miles was going to be a dead zone, meaning there was going to be no spectators. And I was counting on spectators, especially the last part, because I love being around the crowds. I can ride the waves. I knew if somebody said, way to go, Patti, I was going to spit blood to do it. Well, it didn't happen, and I thought at that time I was thinking of breaking 2:30. I was hoping, I was entertaining the idea, but it still wasn't in my soul of thinking. But I finished the race, and I ran at 2:30 something, 2:30:57 maybe, and I was all so close, and that's when I started being disappointed that it was close. I didn't break it. I went to Europe. I ran a race the next week at a half marathon in Vermont. I was 4 seconds off my American record for the half marathon. The very next day, I flew to Europe to go to Norway to run in races with Greta Waitz. I ran 3 cross-country races, and they mean cross-country like over hill and dale, like through mud pies and cow pastures and crazy fields. And I did a 56-minute 10-mile, and I thought, this is pretty good. I can do this. The whole talk there from the other European athletes was New York. And they asked me if I was going to do New York. And I said, no, I'm not going to do New York. I just did a marathon. And they said, you did? I said, yes. They said, where? I said, Montreal. And they go, what's your time? I said, 2:30. They go, get out. You ran 2:30? I said, yeah. And so they're all talking, and over time, I go to another race, I'm in Denmark, I go to another race, I'm in Belgium, I go to another race, I'm in Switzerland, and the whole talk is New York. So I'm hanging out, and I go some runs with Gerard Niebuhr, who happened to be the world record holder. And he says, you're not going to do New York? He says, you do New York. I'm not going to do New York. I come back from Europe, I do really well, but I'm still not thinking New York. There's a race in Boston, the Tufts 10. And I really want to run this race. I have a feeling I'm going to do a big PR. And because it's flat, it's not flat, but it's on pavement. I've been running well on cross country. So I call the race director, and I kind of invite myself. And she says, Patti, I have to let you know there's no money. All the money's gone. I said, that's okay. Just give me a number. And they said, okay. So I came back on a Thursday, and so this is Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So between September 5th and October, I think 8th, I have run a marathon, a half marathon, and 3 big cross-country races over in Europe. So I invite myself. My coach is all over me. He's saying, no, no, no. And I'm saying, yes, yes, yes. So I run it. I set a new American record, and I'm ecstatic. And then I know I want to run New York. And so I'm arguing again with my coach. I want to run New York. He says, no, no, no. It's too much. It's too much. But I haven't let go of the idea. I said, I could break 2:30. I could feel the energy and everything's building in me. And I said, I can do it. So I tell my coach, call Fred LeBeau. And he says, no, I'm not going to do it. And he says, you're not running it. So you have to understand, this is like on a Friday. The race is Sunday. And I call Fred myself. And I said, Fred, I tell him this is Patti. He goes, oh, yeah, Patti. And I said, I want to run New York. And he's another story. He says, no, Patty, I don't have any money for you. And I said, no, that's okay. I said, all I want is a number and a place to stay. And he said, okay, I can do that. So I get a plane ticket, it's a little puddle jump plane ticket. I get a closet to stay in at the Mayflower. And I'm so excited. And I barely sleep. Martin, I do this off of nothing. My adrenaline is flowing. I try to tone it down. I can't sleep because I'm biting at the bit to get out and run and do this sub 2:30. I get to the starting line and I see Greta, I see Ingrid Christensen, and Ingrid's looking at me, she goes, you run? And I said, yeah, I'm going to run. And I look at Greta and I stand right beside her and I said, oh, I'm going to run. She goes, oh, it's good to see you. And I don't take it out. The gun goes off and I know that I'm running for time. So we go out 5 miles and it's 27:49 and I'm in second place and I hear this time split and I said, that's too fast. So I back off and I'm third place now because Ingrid passes me. And I said, it's too early for me. It's too early. I'll wait till halfway. I wait to halfway and I slowly start working. I pass Ingrid and I see Greta up ahead. I'm slowly chopping time until I'm right beside her. I'm right beside her, and it's the happiest 40 seconds of my life, Martin. I run next to one of the greatest athletes of all time for 40 seconds at 16 miles. I mean, that's all it takes for her to get up and go home. And I laughed to myself. I'm like, okay, there she goes. I said, I'm not even going to answer that call. I am just going to run. So I'm paying attention to my energy, my levels of, I have 10 more miles to go. I know at 22 things are going to fall out. I hope they don't fall out. I have to prove to my coach that I'm not going to burn up. I'm not going to, get hurt and end up doing a 3-hour marathon, look like an idiot. I want to make people happy, and I'm running. Things are fine. 20 things are fine. I don't remember any splits. This is the crazy thing. I don't remember any splits. 22 I come to, and I just noticed it takes me a long time to get to 23. And I'm thinking, oh God, don't do this. Okay, here we go. 23. Okay, I got to pick it up. And I'm just trying. When you're trying to pick it up, it's not like you can't really grunt and sprint. You have to be light and you have to be relaxed. And I'm trying to calm myself down. I'm trying to relax my shoulders, pick up my feet lightly and do a quick turnover. I get to 24 miles and I could feel my legs be heavy. And I get to 25 miles and I'm thinking, oh God, this is awful. And I see and hear Bill Squires, who's the coach of the Greater Boston Track Club. And he's got people running. And I hear him and I see him and I look at him because I hear the voice. And I look and I know I gave him this look of, oh God, please help me. I am dying here. And I'm thankful that I see somebody that I know, because if I fail and I end up doing 3 hours, at least I have somebody to say, well, she was running great. She gave it a gallant try. I have a witness. And I'm thankful for that. But then he turns to me and he says, okay, kid, you can do it. Come on, run pretty. And I'm thinking, oh no, I have to run because now he tells me I can do it. So he says something to me like, 6, you got to do 6. So I'm running like the dickens, and you can't, at New York, it's an uphill finish and it has a curve and you can't see the finish line until you're like almost right on it. So I have no idea if I'm going to do it or not, and I'm struggling. Do I struggle and not do it? Do I just quit? I said, what if I don't try and I'm 3 seconds off? I don't know if I can live with myself. I said, well, what if I try and I'm still 3 seconds off? That's okay because I tried. So I'm running and I'm running blind. Martin, I'm running blind. I can't see because I have, I don't know, tears in my eyes or sweat, but I'm running. My chest is burning. My legs are burning and I'm pumping my arms. I'm running for all I'm worth until I'm right on top of the finish line and I look up at the clock. And I see 2:29. Oh my gosh. And that's the picture. I have a picture of it. It's of me finishing. I squeeze my eyes shut and I'm so excited. And I had time to spare. I didn't have to run so hard. I had 2:29:33. So it was great. It opened in my heart and in my spirit. It opened a whole new world within me. I knew no bounds.
You mentioned the Boston Marathon earlier, and that is a race that, for anyone, there's so much mythology tied to it, so much lore tied to it. That's not even just about the sport, but even casual observers. And for you, being from Massachusetts especially, I mean, you run the race, and in 81, you finish in second place, and you set a personal best.
And a new American record. Yeah, it was a new American record, too.
New American record.
Yeah.
What was that race like for you to set a personal best at the Boston Marathon?
Oh, well, this is my third time running, and I had 6 months from New York to Boston, and I ran like the dickens. I trained hard. I set so many American and world records in that short span of time. I'm just banging it out left and right. I was confident, but it's Boston, and it's a marathon. And I'm a Boston girl. I'm from Boston. I was born in Boston. I lived in Boston. I lived at the 23-mile mark. So, in my runs, even all around Boston, people were cheering me on. They go, way to go, Patti. You'll get them this time, and good luck. Even running through the meat market, people would say, way to go, Patti. And it was just wonderful. It's like unbelievable. So I get to the Boston Marathon in 81. Tom Brokaw from ABC, he was filming me. So they were following me the whole course, but they missed the important part. They were following me for a couple of days. And I get to the race and I have this film crew watching, they watch the start. I go off. I get the lead just after halfway. And I was surprised again that there was somebody ahead of me that I didn't know. And it was Julie Shea, and she was an outstanding runner, NCAA champion. I was just crazy, like, oh my gosh, there's somebody ahead. So I was looking ahead for other runners, didn't see anybody, not sure, and I'm looking for the crowd, anybody in the crowd to let me know if I was the first woman, because the cheers are the same for the first woman and for every woman. The cheers are the same. So I couldn't tell whether I was the first woman because they were all loud. There was nothing to distinguish. So I'm running and bent sent on not getting a personal record. I really wanted the world record. And I thought if I had a chance of doing 2:25, the Boston Marathon would be the race to do it, because I could just ride the wave of the crowd. I could just float on top and just hold all of my wanting and hope and spirit and heart and hold it and wait for the last 5K. So when I took the left-hand turn at Commonwealth Ave and all the way to the finish, I'll just ride the crowd, just go gangbusters, everything I was worth, just pump it out, just run hard. Well, I did do that, but when I took the left-hand turn at Cleveland Circle to go on Com Ave, there's the crowd. You can't see. There's you have to say, "Excuse me, please." That's what I'm doing. I'm not pumping my arms. I'm taking my right arm and pushing people's arms out of my way, saying, "Excuse me, please. Excuse me, please. Excuse me, please." And trying to pump my arm and just trying to get through the crowd. And there's people hanging on the lights, the stop lights. There's people hanging out the windows at Cleveland Circle, and they're all cheering. I take the left-hand turn, Martin, and I banged smack into a horse. I could not believe it. The back end, the side hind leg of a horse. Now the horses, I never saw it, but I saw the tail. And I didn't fall. The next runner behind me, Tommy Dideri, and another runner, Paulo Borowski, Tommy caught me by my arms, by my shoulders behind me, and just passed me on to the next runner. And that was Paulo Borowski. And he just passed me on. And while this is going on, Ellison Rowe of New Zealand passed me. And I see her going by, and in my mind, I don't know whether it was in my mind or it came out my mouth, but I said no, really loud in my head. I had to get myself together, and I didn't have time. I couldn't even think of, was I hurt? I couldn't even be thankful that I didn't fall. I couldn't even be mad at the horse. I couldn't even have time to swear. I just said I had to catch her. And I'm trying to gather myself, and I'm not going I don't feel like I'm going fast. I feel like I'm running in waist-deep water, and I'm trying to regroup. And I come down Comm Ave, and I'm near the ice cream factory. And I'm coming down the hill, and I see that she's already up the hill of the other side. I said, how much time do I have? Do I have time to catch her? And I think, I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do. And I just think, close time, close the gap. And that's all I think. I just remember, close the gap, close. And I get all the way till I can't even pay attention to people are yelling. I don't even hear the cheers because in my mind it's big letters. It says close the gap, close. And I'm running and it's deafening in my head. And I take the right-hand turn onto Hereford and then take the left-hand turn to get to the Prudential. And I take the left-hand turn, and Martin, I don't hear anything. I don't know whether it was my mind or it was the people. It was just quiet. And I'm running, and I'm running as fast as I can go. And then I hear Tom Grilk, who was the caller of the race, and he says, a big round of applause. Let's hear it for Patti Catalano, new American record, 2:27. And it's quiet, and I finish, and I'm disgusted. I'm disgusted with myself. I just think, another year. That's what I think. I think I have another year. I said, another year of hard work, another year of banging it out, which was fine for me. But I've seen pictures of exactly the exact time when I finished the race, and I know that feeling. I went, another year. Yeah.
You have a quote, and it's you said before, if they're going to beat me, they're going to have to spit blood.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, right. Real. That's real. Oh, yeah. Because, I have my first few races, first couple of years anyways, Martin, I would have a panic attack during a race. I was so unsure of myself. I did a lot of my racing on 2 hours sleep because I couldn't sleep. I was bright-eyed and bushy-tailed at 4 a.m, and my race is at 8 or at 9, and I didn't sleep. And I would have a panic attack in the race, and I had to figure out what I was afraid of. So I figured out that when I run in a race that I want to run in, and there's nobody in there. There was not much competition. I can't say nobody, but I won the race. And it was because I was calm, and it was because I got a night's rest. I wasn't worried. So I got to the point where, okay, I don't care who's in this race because I'm going to run my tail off. And I'm going to do everything I can do to do the best that I can do. And I don't care who's in it, because if they're going to beat me, they're going to spit blood, because I'm going to make sure that I'm going to outwork them. I'm going to work them. So, yeah, so I that's what I did. I got rid of my fear my anxiety by embracing the fear of not being fearful, if that makes any sense whatsoever, because I didn't care. Go ahead. You want to run? Go ahead. But I'm going to tell you this. It's not going to come on a silver platter. I am not going to lay down and have you run over me while I hyperventilate. I am going to get myself together, and I am going to make you work. And I did.
You mentioned earlier Greta Waitz as a woman that, was a fierce competitor of yours, someone that you spent a number of marathons going head-to-head against, and somebody that you looked up to as well.
Oh, I admired her. Yeah. She was something.
What was it like to be so close, competing head-to-head in marathons with her? What was that relationship like with her?
Oh, well, the relationship was really great. When I went over to Europe, the first race, I was so excited. I did 2:30, and she's a 2:27 marathon runner, and I'm like knocking at the door. She's the one that she and her husband set up the races for me to go to Europe so I could race against Greta, so I could get more experience. I went and I did the first race, and I'm leading. I went out like gangbusters. She came up to me like at 2 kilometers and she said, "Patti, what are you doing?" And I look right at her and I say, "I'm trying to beat you." Oh, and she's like, oh, she didn't say anything. She just left. And I was so out of breath. I ran out so hard. I finished second to Greta, and I finished, I think, 2 minutes behind Greta in a 10-mile cross-country race. And she came over to me. She said, "Oh, that was good. And I said, yeah, I'm getting closer." And she goes, "Oh, you'll get there sometime." And I said, "Yeah, I think so." She was very encouraging. She was very hopeful. Her husband, Jack, had mentioned, she says, she really doesn't have anybody to race against. And she's very happy that she has somebody to look forward to. Of course, I'm so far behind, but at least, if I ever led the race or if I ever came up on her, it pushed her because she wasn't sure whether or not I could carry the thread out. So she was very encouraging, and I admired her so much. And I didn't know until later that she had already been in the Olympics. This is who I was racing against. I had just quit smoking a couple of years before that.
When you were running in this time period, the 80s, it was still before big business has gotten into running, and runners, it was a much harder time, I think, to make a living as an athlete at that time point. What was it like for you trying to, devote as much time as you could to the sport that you loved while also being able to continue to feed yourself and find a place, a roof over your head?
Yeah, Matt, it was really hard. I felt guilty. I felt bad. After I quit my job, and I had $1,300 left in a retirement fund or something, so I lived off of that for a little bit. For a while, you could really stretch money, especially like $1,000. Oh my gosh! In my mind, it was so much money. So I could live, 6 months off of that. But I felt bad and guilty because it was very irresponsible to leave work. I had a good job. I was a nurse's aide at a hospital, and they were hard to come by, especially for somebody like me, and I quit. And I thought, this is so irresponsible. I was not a responsible person, that I was leaving a job, I had a paycheck, I had an apartment, and I'm leaving it. But I saw Bill Rogers and Alberto Salazar and Bobby Hodge and Greg Meyer, and I was watching all these great athletes, and I wanted to be a part of that. It was something. And then I met other people. There was hundreds of people. There was a big, strong group of runners in Boston, and you weren't jogging, you were running. And it was very heady. And I remember the first big race for money, a sponsor race that would pay our way to get out there, was the Pepsi. And I thought, this was great. They gave me money for a ticket. I had transportation. I had a hotel. And they gave me a per diem. And if I spent my per diem wisely, it could last me a week's worth of food. So I learned that if you went in a couple of days early and I left a couple of days later, you got a little bit more money. So I got like $50 a day. or something like that. So, I'd walk away with like, I don't know, $300. That would last me a month. So, and then I lived with a bunch of guys. So, it was great, but hard. And I had to get over that of being irresponsible and guilty. And then I started working harder, and my dream of running Boston again, and it was becoming, closer and real. And I remember going to my first invited race in Cincinnati, Ohio, and I won. And it was great. And therefore, I got invited to another race, and it just snowballed. And then I won a race I did a marathon in Oregon. The Nike people put it on, and I didn't win. I got second. Julie Brown won and set a new American record of 2:36. And the prize was in exchange to the Honolulu Marathon. And the Nike race was in September. I did Ocean State in October. And right before Thanksgiving, I was asked if I was interested to go to the Honolulu Marathon because Julie Brown passed on it. And I was like, yes, of course. So that Thanksgiving day, I went out and I did a long run, and I had like a 2.5-hour run to get me ready for the Honolulu Marathon, which was going to be like 10 days later. I went out to Honolulu, and my first plane ride, I was just out of my mind. To me, Honolulu was like a foreign country. It smells beautiful. There's palm trees, the people, And I knew I went to the Kapolani Park where they had the expo, and I saw the big trophy, and they had all the winners' names on it. And I stood there looking and fingering the names on the plaques and reading them. And a man came up behind me, and he whispered in my ear, and he said, if you win, you get your name on that, but they also invite you back. And I looked over and I looked at him, and I said, really? And he said, yes, they always invite the champions back. Well, in my mind, Martin, I won that race right then and there. So I won the race, and I went back 4 times, and I won the race 4 times in a row. A new course record each time, because I wanted to make doubly sure they'd bring me back.
All these places, you mentioned Honolulu, you were running in Europe,
Yes.
New York City, Boston. Running has really shown you the world.
It did. I went to Brazil, I went to Japan, I went to Canada, Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico was a great race. Oh my gosh. Meredith Yifta, Lassie Vera, and Henry Rono. It was crazy, but I won. It was a half marathon, and it was in Como. It was a big famous race, and Yifta won. It was just fabulous. And I always wanted to be invited back, and I always wanted to do my best. So I really, really tried really hard. I was running to win. I didn't win them all. And then I learned, Martin, that it's like playing poker. You can't lay all your cards out there. I had to learn how to be a competitor. And my coach said to me at the time, okay, kid, if you're going to run hard, because he couldn't change it. He could talk to me till he was blue in the face. The gun goes off. I have my own little world. I'm just going to run as hard as I can for as long as I can. So he said, this is what we're going to do. He started training me differently. I started running on cross-country courses. I started running hills. I started doing sit-ups and push-ups. I quit smoking. I started doing Nautilus workouts. I was doing 500 push-ups a day. I was doing 1,000 sit-ups a day. I was doing Nautilus, which was very new at that time. Not many athletes were doing Nautilus. I was on a regular program, and I ran through the winter. 1979 was the first winter I ran through. I trained through. So I had an added benefit, and then things just got better. If I couldn't change my running style, I was going to be stronger so that I could hold the form and the speed longer. So therefore, it would appear that I got faster. Does that make sense?
Of all the races that you've run, What's the one that sticks out to you, the one that you remember the most?
Oh, did somebody tell you?
So let me rephrase myself.
Okay.
You have great racing stories. New York City, fabulous story. Boston, a fabulous story, but nothing can quite compare to the time that you were in Rio.
Oh.
Can you tell me the story of this race?
Yeah, Rio. Oh, that's so in my heart. Oh, leading up to it, I had already done the Olympic trials. The new stars are born. I finished 16th. It was really important for me to be there. And I thought 236. I think I did 236, maybe 238. It doesn't matter. I thought, Martin, that I would get invited to some races, but not to be held. So I waited, and no phone ringing. I divorced my coach. He was my husband. As soon as I got back from the trials, I went out there by myself. A whole year goes by. Nothing happens for me. Nothing. And I'm getting concerned. I have this year, and I'm not really running. But, Martin, I'm fighting a food disorder, which a lot of people didn't know. And I'm recovering from it. So I'm not running much, but I had gained a lot of weight. And I go to the few races that I go to, or the few runs that I run in public with other, like running through a half marathon. I would hear people would talk about me in front of me. Like I'm not, like, I don't know. And it really crushed me. And I went back, I had bought a house, and I'm in my house, and I'm thinking, okay, my contract's going to be up. I'm not going to have any money. Nobody's calling me. I'm going to call them. So I'm hoping that somebody will say yes, and I'm looking for motivation to get back out there and run, to get back out there and race, to get back out there and save myself, to save my face. So because nobody knows what I have been going through, and that I am doing really well. And for me to celebrate my health and well-being, I want to get back, pick up where I left off. I want to be a world record holder again. So I get Runner's World magazine, and I call, and I get, no, I heard you're injured. No, that's okay. No, we don't have any money this year, and which means I know I'm never going to get invited again. So I'm really crushed. I'm crushed, and I say, darn all these people. Okay, so I look, and I'm like a couple of days later, I'm mulling over. My feelings aren't as hurt as I thought they were. I get my gumption up, and I say, screw them. Oh, sorry. I say, stick it to them. I look at another column in the Runner's World, and I look at the international column. And I know I can't do a short race, a 5-mile or a 10K or a 15K. I know my best bet is a marathon because I can run for a long time. And I know that I'm strong. And I said, if I can hold on to a certain pace, I know I can hold it. So I call this Rio marathon race. And I had heard Billy had run it. He won it. I heard Greg Meyer had won it. And I thought, this is really good. They've run there. It's a legit race. I'll call. So I call, and Jose Vornick, the race director, he says, Patti, I hear you're injured. And I said, no, I'm not injured. I'm doing well. And he says, well, I don't think so, Patti. I don't think we have it. So I kind of take it on the chin, and I go, oh, okay. And I hang up the phone, and I start crying. I'm upset. So I walk around, and I think, darn it. Okay, so I call him back, and I say, Jose, I really need this race. You really got to bring me out. You bring me out, I'm going to do well. He says, well, how do I know that you're not going to drop out? I said, I'm not going to drop out. He said, well, how do I know what kind of fitness you are in? And so I know he has me there because, I'm not really training, but I'm running like an hour or so. And I say, I'm okay. He says, Patti, get in a 10K. Get a 10K time. And break 35. And I say, oh, okay, I can do that. So I said, okay. So there is a race, and it's in Cohasset, Massachusetts, and it's a very hilly race. And it's on the seashore, so it's going to be a headwind. And so I enter it, and I run it, and I win the thing. And I mean, I'm I have race after effects. I just pull this right out of my hat. I run something like 35, 40 something. And I call him and I say, Jose, I won the race. I won the race by a couple of minutes. And that really doesn't impress him. He says, what's your time? And I said, well, it's 35, 40. I said, but you have to understand, it's a hilly race. I said, it's a headwind and it was cold. And he's like, I don't know, Patti. And so I'm talking to him and I'm pleading. I say, Jose, you bring me out, I'll win it. You bring me out, I'll win the race. And he goes, yeah, you win the race. And I said, yes, you bring me out, I'll win your race. And he says, okay. He says, you drop out, you swim home. Well, I go, okay. So I'm running and I check in every now and then with Jose and I tell him how my progress. And he says, oh, that's good, Patti. You'll win. You'll do really well. But I ask him a few questions. I ask him about the course. He says, oh, you'll like the course. And he doesn't tell me much about it. And then I say, is anybody else coming? He goes, no, Patti, it's just you. And I say, okay. Okay, so I'm training pretty confidently. I feel pretty good. So I go out there 10 days before the race, and the coffee's really good. I love where I'm staying. I'm staying at the Cabana Hotel. There's a beautiful swimming pool. It's marble. There's a fountain in the middle. The Cabana beach is right there, and that beautiful marble wavy sidewalk. I am beside myself. I love it. Except that I see on every corner, there's a machine gun. They have soldiers out. I get a little nervous. But I'm drinking the coffee and I'm drinking the water. I think the water tastes great. And I'm out there, a week, nothing's happening. 9 days, nothing's happening. And then I see, prior to that, Jose told me nobody was going to be there, right? I come down to the lobby to go out to meet my friend to go for a run. And who do I see? Standing there in the lobby, the top English runner, and I see her there. I can just feel my heart go jump right to my throat, and I'm all sweaty with nerves, and I just wipe my hand lightly on my shorts, and I say, hi, Joyce. I go right over to her, and I shake her hand, and she is as surprised to see me as I am to her. And because I'm sure Jose said, oh, Joyce, come to my race. There's nobody there. And there's me. And then I see her and I hear, from Jose, oh, there's nobody there. There's Joyce Smith. And then Joyce Smith and also Sissel Gutenberg from Norway, the number 3 top runner. I think she got 12th at the Olympics. And so I'm thinking, oh, gosh. Oh, it doesn't matter what kind of shape they're in. They're there. They're tough. They're going to run a marathon and they have experience. And I'm thinking, oh. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I just have to run hard. This marathon's a crapshoot. You don't know what's going to happen. So the race is at 5 o'clock in the evening. Jose said we all have to be down in the lobby at 2:30 in the afternoon. I said, okay. So around noon, adrenaline is starting to come. It's starting to come up. And I say, okay, I have to go to the bathroom. And I go and I said, okay, well, that was really good. I'm getting ready for my race. That was around 12:30. And then I have to go again 2 times. Okay, that's all right. It wasn't until around 4 or 5 times that I know something's off. Something's wrong. And then I go 6, 7 times. And I'm getting to get worried. I don't go downstairs because I'm back in the bathroom. And around 2:45, the phone's ringing. And I can't answer it. I'm not going to answer it because I know who it is. And I can't tell him that I have a problem because I'm going to have to swim home. And I'm worried. I think each time I go to the bathroom, it's the last one. But it's not. And I'm up in 12 times, 13 times, 14 times. And I finally answer the phone. It must be around 4 o'clock. I finally answer it, and he's mad. And I said, Jose, I have a problem. And he says, Patti, I'm going to send a motorcycle. He's not hearing my problem at all. He's going to send a motorcycle. I better be down there. I better get to the starting line. So I go, okay. So I go to the bathroom a couple more times, and I'm around 17 times I've been to the bathroom. And then now I have to sit on a motorcycle. So I can't straddle the thing. So I sit sideways and I tuck my knees and I just hold on to the waist of this kid that, I don't know, he's a teenager, and I just hold on. And he brings me to the starting line. I can barely get off. I get off the motorcycle and I promptly go sit down on the curb. And I don't dare move. I don't dare look at anybody. And Jose, he starts to come over, and I just put my head down in between my knees. And he doesn't say anything. I hear everybody has to line up. I stand up. I go line up. And I have Sissel on one side of me. I have Joyce on the other side of me. And the gun goes off, and I run very easy, very slow, because I can't put any pressure on my abdomen. I can't pick up my feet, my knees. So I just do a little scoot. And then I'm thinking, I know I'm not going to make it. And I think, well, I have a charge card. I have an American Express card. I'll have to charge my ticket. I'm just going to drop out. And I know around 10K, that's where my hotel is, near there. So I can drop out there. So I'm already planning this I'm going to drop out, and I'm trying to make peace with it. But I still have Joyce on one side and Sissel on the other side. And I stop and I have a pit stop. And they don't know what happened to me. I have a pit stop in front of people, in front of spectators. How embarrassing, how awful. But, I feel better. And I do a little scoot and I catch back up to them. And they don't know what happened. They go, well, and I don't dare say anything to them like I have stomach pain, because I don't want to give them any fuel, So I'm running, and they haven't made a move yet. I'm still kind of like dictating what's going on. So I'm still planning on dropping out. And I don't want to tell them because they'll just get up and leave. And I'm still quarreling with myself. Should I drop out? Should I not drop out? And then I say, I'll wait. I'll wait till 10 miles. I said, that's not too far to get back. So just before 10 miles, I have to go on a bridge. And we go on this bridge, and there are not too many spectators, but there happens to be a little Volkswagen Bug. And I see the car, and I have pain in my stomach, and I have to stop. So I stop, and I feel better afterwards. And there's no spectators. Nobody's laughing at me. Nobody's doing anything. And Joyce sees me, and we make eye contact. And for some reason, when I looked at her, I knew I shouldn't drop out. And I felt better. My stomach felt better. Here I've gone to the bathroom 19 times. And I felt better. And I don't know what was in her eye, but it fed me. So I think, okay, 10 miles. Okay, I'll drop out at 11. When I come to 11, and I'm thinking, oh my goodness, they're right there. So I don't even think about dropping out anymore, Martin. I think about, oh my goodness, if I can catch them. So I'm watching between 11 and 12 miles. They're getting a little closer to me, but they're still like little objects in the distance. They're not like right there. I can't see the soles of their feet. They're little objects, but I can tell that I've cut into them. So I keep running, and I'm running, and I cut in more, and now I can see their backs. I can see their feet. I can see the bottoms of their shoes. And I'm thinking, oh my goodness, I'm catching them. I'm going to catch them. Oh, what? I'm going to take the lead. I work myself up to take the lead, and I say, okay, what happens if I take the lead? Okay, I'm going to take the lead at 13. Okay, what are you going to do if you take the lead? I don't know. I'm having these conversations with myself. I said, I don't know. What are you going to do with the lead? You're not going to hold it because you just went to the bathroom 19 times. And I'm thinking my enthusiasm, Martin's not going to last very long because it's just a shot of adrenaline. It's hope, And I'm thinking, because they're going to give me a fight. And I say, okay, Patti, get the lead at halfway and have a beer. Oh, that'll be great. That'll be great. I finish the race, I get a beer. So I pass them. And I'm all enthused because I'm going to go have a beer for myself when the race is all over. And I say, okay, halfway, 13 miles, and they don't see me right away because I don't cut the turn. I take a very wide way on the other side of the highway, and I'm on the other side of the press trucks. And it wasn't until I passed the press trucks in the lead car for women that they realized that Joyce and Sissel aren't in the lead anymore. There's somebody up there. And so everybody passes me, the press truck, the lead truck for women, and they pass me, and I'm thinking, oh no, don't do this, now they'll know where I am. So 14 mile comes along, and I think, okay, I'm still in the lead, that's 2 beers, I'm going to have 2 Coronas, and then 15 miles comes, and I'm still in the lead, and I don't dare turn around, Martin, because I don't want to give anything away. I don't want them to think that I'm worried, that I'm looking for them. I run as though there's no tomorrow. 15 miles, I'm going to have 3 beers after this race. I'm going to be one happy camper. And it's okay if I have to charge my way home. It's okay. I got an American Express card. 16 miles comes, I'm still in the lead, 4 beers, 17, 18, 19, I lose count of beers, I'm still in the lead, 20, I feel good, 21, good, 22, okay, 23, not so good. 23, it was as though, Martin, the earth opened up and swallowed me, and I had to crawl my way back out. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, oh God, please don't do this. God, please don't do this to me now. You let me lead. God, don't do this to me. You let me lead, and you're going to let me lose in front of all these people? You gave me so much hope. So, Martin, this is what I did. I asked God. I said, God, please don't do this. And I said, okay, God, please pick up my right foot and put it down. Thank you. God, please pick up my left foot and put it down. Thank you. And that's how I ran. I come through towards the finish line, and you have to understand, it's a festival, it's a party, there's costumes, there's dancers, there's spotlights, there's motorcycles, there's lights everywhere, there's flags, there's people cheering, and all I see are bright lights in front of me. There must be a dozen motorcycles around me. The police, there's army trucks, it's great. And I'm running, and I see it, and I'm running, and I cross the line, and Tony Revis, whom I knew, is calling my name. I won the race, and I can't believe it. They just take me by the arms. They bring me through the chute. They put me in a tent. They give me a cup, and they say I got to pee. And so that's what happened. And I ended up winning. Joyce, I think I beat her by a couple of minutes, and Sissel by a few minutes. So that was the race that saved my soul. It saved my heart. I never had to do another race again because I ran the best race I could ever possibly have run. And in my mind, that was the end. And the end of my career. I had ended it there. But of course I ran a few more races after that, but nothing. That was in my mind. I could walk away. And I did, more or less. I walked away. That was done. I was it.
What a story. What a story. Thanks so much for sharing your story. What a pleasure.
Oh, thank you, Martin. You're welcome.
That's it for the show. Thanks for listening, and I hope you liked it. Keep an eye on Patti as she looks for her next challenge. The music for Story Untold is by Dr. Turtle off the album You I'll Ah. Next time on the show, I talk to a man who spent 8 months traveling from Turkey to Nepal and turned it into a poetry book. I'm Martin Bauman, and this was A Story Untold. See you next time.